Welcome to the channel. If you've ever been curious about the ancient philosophies that shaped our world, today's episode is one you won't want to miss. We're diving deep into the fascinating life and ideas of Plato, one of history's greatest thinkers. From his early life in Athens to the foundations of Western philosophy, Plato's ideas continue to resonate with us today. Whether you're a philosophy enthusiast or just getting started, this journey through his dialogues and theories will give you a deeper understanding of how his work laid the groundwork for much of what we know about ethics, politics, and knowledge. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, because you don't want to miss out on future deep dives into philosophical topics and timeless wisdom. Let's get started and explore the genius of Plato together. 1. The early life of Plato. Plato was born in Athens around 428 before Common Era into an aristocratic family. His early life was marked by a combination of privilege and exposure to the intellectual and political currents of Athens. Growing up in this environment, Plato was exposed to some of the most influential thinkers of the time, including his teacher, Socrates, and the political upheavals of the Peloponnesian War. This era shaped Plato's views on politics, ethics, and the nature of knowledge. His family was deeply involved in politics, which likely influenced his later philosophical ideas about governance and the ideal state. Despite the family's political prominence, Plato's own personal experiences with the political corruption of Athens led him to seek out deeper truths about how societies should be structured. This early exposure to the world of ideas and politics laid the foundation for the rest of his philosophical work. Plato's original name is believed to have been Aristotle's, with Plato possibly being a nickname referring to his broad physique or perhaps his wide breadth of thought. He was likely well educated from a young age, studying subjects like grammar, music, and gymnastics, as was common for elite Athenian youth. The political turmoil following the fall of Athens at the end of the Peloponnesian War deeply disillusioned him with Athenian democracy. The execution of Socrates, his mentor, further distanced Plato from the democratic ideals of his city. Plato's desire to find justice and order likely stems from witnessing injustice firsthand in a city once known for its cultural brilliance. 2. Socratic influence. One of the most significant influences on Plato's philosophy was his teacher, Socrates. Socrates never wrote down his ideas, so much of what we know about him comes through the writings of Plato, particularly in the form of dialogues. Socrates' method of questioning, known as the Socratic method, deeply impacted Plato's thinking. This method involved asking probing questions to stimulate critical thinking and expose contradictions in people's beliefs. Plato admired Socrates' commitment to seeking truth and living a virtuous life, which became central themes in his own work. The tragic death of Socrates at the hands of the Athenian authorities had a profound effect on Plato, cementing his distrust of democracy and fueling his belief in the importance of wise leadership. Plato's portrayal of Socrates in his dialogues is one of the most enduring legacies of his teacher's influence. Through characters like Socrates, Plato was able to explore complex philosophical issues in a relatable conversational format. The Socratic dialogues often end in aporia, a state of puzzlement, illustrating how difficult it is to arrive at true knowledge. Plato saw philosophy as a lifelong pursuit, one that required humility and constant questioning, traits he inherited from Socrates. While Socrates focused on ethics and personal virtue, Plato expanded these discussions into metaphysical and political realms. 3. Plato's theory of forms. At the heart of Plato's philosophy is his theory of forms, which suggests that the physical world we see around us is only a shadow of a higher, more perfect reality. According to Plato, The true essence of things exists in the realm of forms, which are eternal, unchanging, and perfect. For example, while we may encounter many different types of chairs in the world, they are all mere imitations of the perfect form of a chair, which can only be known through intellectual understanding, not sensory perception. This theory challenges our everyday experience of the world and encourages us to look beyond the physical to uncover the deeper, timeless truths. The theory of forms was revolutionary because it questioned the reliability of sensory perception and emphasized the importance of reason in gaining true knowledge. Plato believed that the forms were more real than the objects we see, and only through philosophical reasoning could we gain access to them. In his dialogue Phaedo, Plato argues that the soul recalls knowledge of the forms from before birth, implying a kind of spiritual memory. This idea supports his belief in the immortality of the soul and the superiority of rational thought. The form of the good, in particular, is the highest of all forms and serves as the ultimate source of truth and reality. Just as the sun enables sight in the visible world, the form of the good enables knowledge in the intellectual realm. Understanding this form is the philosopher's highest goal, as it illuminates all other truths. 4. Plato's ideal state. In his famous work, The Republic, Plato outlines his vision of the ideal state, a society governed by reason, justice, and wisdom. Plato's ideal state is structured around three main classes: the rulers, the warriors, and the producers. The rulers, also known as philosopher kings, are the most knowledgeable and virtuous individuals, trained in philosophy to lead the state wisely. The warriors protect the state, and the producers provide for its material needs. According to Plato, justice arises when each class performs its role without interfering in the roles of others. He argues that a just society is one where individuals are allowed to pursue their natural talents and contribute to the collective good. The idea of philosopher kings has been both praised and criticized throughout history, but it remains one of Plato's most influential contributions to political philosophy. Plato emphasized the importance of a rigorous education system to identify and train the future leaders of the state from a young age. This system included physical training, music, mathematics, and eventually dialectics, the highest form of philosophical inquiry. He believed the guardians must live communally, without private property or traditional family structures, to prevent corruption and ensure their loyalty to the common good. 5. Plato's Allegory of the Cave. One of Plato's most famous metaphors for understanding human perception and knowledge is the allegory of the cave. In this allegory, Plato describes prisoners chained in a dark cave, only able to see shadows cast on the wall by objects behind them. These shadows represent the only reality the prisoners know, but they are mere imitations of the true objects outside the cave. When one prisoner is freed and exposed to the world outside, he comes to realize the deeper truths about reality, but upon returning to the cave to share his newfound knowledge, the other prisoners reject him. This allegory illustrates Plato's belief that most people live in ignorance, perceiving only superficial realities, while true knowledge can only be attained by transcending the physical world and contemplating the forms. The allegory of the cave remains a powerful symbol of the philosophical journey toward enlightenment. It highlights Plato's view that education is not about filling the mind with information, but turning the soul toward the light of truth. He believed the philosopher must undergo this painful but necessary process of enlightenment, despite society's resistance. The cave also represents the dangers of complacency and the societal pressure to conform to familiar illusions. 6. The role of women in Plato's philosophy. Plato's views on women were revolutionary for his time. In the Republic, He argued that women should have the same opportunities as men in terms of education and participation in the ruling class. He believed that both men and women possessed the same intellectual capacities and should be given the same chances to contribute to society. While Plato's ideal society is often criticized for its strict hierarchical structure, his progressive stance on gender equality stands out. He even proposed that women should be allowed to be philosopher kings, as long as they possessed the necessary virtues and knowledge. In an era where women were often excluded from intellectual and political life, Plato's ideas were groundbreaking, challenging traditional norms and advocating for a more inclusive society. He insisted that ability, not gender, should determine a person's role in the state. Plato also acknowledged that some physical differences exist, but considered them irrelevant to the intellectual and moral responsibilities of leadership. His educational curriculum for both genders was identical, covering gymnastics, music, mathematics, and dialectic reasoning. In essence, Plato viewed the soul as genderless, with its potential for wisdom unaffected by the body it inhabits. 7. Plato's view of the soul. For Plato, the soul was the eternal, immortal essence of a person, which pre-exists and survives the body. He divided the soul into three parts: the rational, the spirited, and the appetitive. The rational part of the soul seeks truth and knowledge, while the spirited part is associated with courage and honor, and the appetitive part is concerned with desires and physical needs. Plato believed that a harmonious soul could only be achieved when the rational part of the soul ruled over the spirited and appetitive parts, leading to a life of virtue and wisdom. This concept of the soul influenced later philosophical and religious thought, particularly in Christianity, where the idea of the immortal soul became central to many beliefs about life after death. For Plato, the soul's ultimate goal was to return to the realm of the forms, the true reality from which it came. He saw the physical world as a temporary illusion, a distraction from the soul's higher purpose. In his dialogue Phaedrus, Plato likens the soul to a charioteer guiding two horses, one noble, one unruly, symbolizing the constant internal struggle for balance. He also emphasized the importance of self-knowledge and introspection in achieving inner harmony. The just individual, like the just state, is one in which each part of the soul performs its proper role under the guidance of reason. 8. Plato's influence on Western thought. Plato's influence on Western thought cannot be overstated. His ideas formed the basis for much of Western philosophy, including the development of metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, and political theory. Plato's work inspired countless philosophers, including Aristotle, who studied under him for 20 years, and later thinkers like Descartes, Kant, and Hegel. His dialogues have been read and analyzed for centuries, and his influence extends beyond philosophy to fields like mathematics, science, and theology. Plato's commitment to reason and his exploration of fundamental questions about the nature of reality, knowledge, and the good life continue to shape philosophical inquiry to this day. Many of Plato's ideas were integrated into Christian theological frameworks, especially through thinkers like Augustine. His concept of a higher, perfect realm helped shape early notions of heaven and the divine. Even modern political theory owes a debt to Plato's analysis of governance, justice, and civic duty. His method of dialectic debate laid the foundation for the Socratic method still used in education and law. From Renaissance humanism to Enlightenment rationalism, Plato's vision echoes through the core of Western civilization. 9. The Academy. In 387 BCE, Plato founded the Academy in Athens, one of the first institutions of higher learning in the Western world. The academy became a center for philosophical and scientific study, attracting students from all over the Greek world. Plato's teachings were central to the curriculum, and many prominent philosophers, including Aristotle, studied there. The academy played a crucial role in preserving and transmitting Plato's ideas, ensuring that his work would influence generations of thinkers. It also set the stage for future intellectual institutions, such as the Lyceum, founded by Aristotle, and ultimately the development of universities in the Western tradition. The academy operated for nearly 900 years, enduring through various political regimes until its closure by Emperor Justinian in 529 CE. It was more than just a school, it was a community of scholars engaged in deep inquiry and debate. The academy's structure emphasized dialogue and the search for truth rather than rote instruction. Plato's vision of education as a lifelong philosophical journey was embodied in this groundbreaking institution. Even today, the term academy is synonymous with learning and scholarship, a tribute to Plato's enduring influence. 10. Plato's legacy. Plato's legacy is immeasurable. His ideas have shaped the way we think about knowledge, ethics, politics, and reality. Through his dialogues, he continues to challenge readers to think critically, question assumptions, and seek deeper truths. His work laid the foundation for the development of Western philosophy and continues to be studied, debated, and admired by scholars and thinkers around the world. Whether through his explorations of the ideal state, his theory of forms, or his views on the soul, Plato's influence on our intellectual traditions is profound. His timeless contributions to philosophy ensure that his work will continue to inspire future generations for centuries to come. In a world full of uncertainty, Plato's quest for truth, wisdom, and the good life remains a beacon for all who dare to think deeply. Even in popular culture, Plato's ideas surface in films, literature, and public discourse. His allegories, particularly The Cave, continue to be referenced when discussing perception and truth. The resilience of his thought lies in its universal relevance across eras and cultures. As humanity continues to evolve, the foundational questions Plato posed remain ever present in our collective journey for meaning and understanding. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Plato's enduring legacy. If you found today's video insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear what you think about his philosophy. And of course, if you want to keep delving into the minds of history's most influential thinkers, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. From Plato's theory of forms to his views on the ideal state, we've only scratched the surface. There's so much more to come, so stay tuned for future videos where we continue exploring the ideas that have shaped our world. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.